going. Just
Yeah.
because you lost your business, you still have to pay your rent, and that's
Yeah.
a
that's
a
the
big problem with a
problem he
lot of the
ran
companies
into.
out there. You know, they go, okay, I have no employees, I have no business model, but my rent, my electricity, my phone bill, all those bills keep coming in, and you're
True.
going, there's no revenue to pay for it, and
Yeah.
the
And
economic
multiply that by millions, and that's what's going
yeah,
around
the
in the country.
economic downturn of the COVID-19 is just phenomenal. Now, I got a report today though that they said that the employment numbers weren't as bad as they thought they were in the United States, or
Yeah,
at
they
least
got
people
they got
hired.
a little boost the last
A little
report.
boost. Yeah.
Actually, they were much better supposedly than anticipated.
Yeah, it's true. You know, but these things, you have to look at that kind of data with a broader picture. You
This
can't
just
focus
in,
on
it's
individual numbers.
13.3% unemployment as opposed to 20.
I don't trust the unemployment data because they only obtain it from the checks they write. So I don't believe a word they say because
There
they're
you go.
more unemployed than the checks they write. But that's the only way they say they can present that data. So I've never trusted it, but if that's what they say. But the way I learned about that was I was laid off a long time ago, and I really entrenched myself into the process. But you know, you got to start somewhere. This is what I tell people. You got to start with numbers somewhere, right? You got to have a baseline to start with. But to sit there and tell me that this is it, see, they don't need to do that. What they need to do is report it as we're reporting the data of the checks that we issue.
Right.
Not this is the unemployment rate. We're reporting the data of the checks that we've issued.
Or the people who are not looking for jobs, they don't count them.
Right.
But they're unemployed.
The people who are registered in our unemployment database looking for jobs are this many.
Right.
That's the way the data needs to be presented. And this is a conversation I've even had with doctors who said, we have all this data about the diseases that we're dealing with and everything, but it's not being presented properly. Right.
Right.
So I agree with Nick. You know, we got to start somewhere with a baseline of numbers. The unemployment rate is presented as being the lowest ever, but that's how the presidents manipulate that data. And I think it's wrong. It's wrong for the people who don't get a check and are being misrepresented. So
You know, I'm following the markets almost daily, and I'll tell you, the market, stock market, is becoming very dangerous place now because it recovered very quickly, very fast, furiously. It's going up every day, 500 points or so. And although there is a sucker born every minute, that's true. But now we need them to be born every second because this stock is going so high. So you need so many suckers to buy all the stocks. Where do you find?
Well, there's also the scam artists are bigger than ever right now with scam startups, and I've got a person out there that's going to be a honeypot at this rate because everyone's contacting him. But there are people who are saying, "Oh, we're doing this project in LA, and here's the land project, here's the land number, and here's all this data, and we're going to start construction, and we've got all of this money raised here." And they're very like the detail is phenomenal, the presentations and everything. The whole project's fake. The whole project's fake. And they're taking money from innocent people who are maybe looking to invest what money they have left over from the stock into something to turn over. And the return on investment is like pretty interesting. It's not over exaggerated, but it looks very aggressive and friendly. So in other words, like we're going to build this project. It's going to be completed, and because it's backed by whatever, we know that we're going to get the money because it's, you know, so, and it looks so legit. It looks like, you know, it's in the city of LA. It does this, it does that. And I don't want to give it all away because I know people are listening to me that are part of some of this, but there are just so many scams out there that they're sending out presentations of startups that look real, and it just needs to be stopped. There are going to be people who invest in these things.
Well, this is a side effect of these types of situations. These pandemics cause fear, and certain people, the predators out there, take it as a sign of opportunity. Whether it's looting, whether it's faking the numbers in the stock market, When Sasha and I were investing in the market, it was a stable place, and the numbers, they could not lie. If they told lies to their investors, they got prosecuted. So we trusted the numbers that were presented to us, and we made decisions on investing based on those numbers. But they were accurate numbers, and if they weren't accurate, they got prosecuted. Now, there's nothing like that going on with these scam artists. There's nothing like that that's helping us stay safe in this current investing environment. So I have no idea what's going on now in the market. Maybe Sasha can educate me, but I am just afraid of it. But
Well,
I don't know where else to
I
put my
agree
money.
with you because I think that first off, you got to get caught. And how many people are giving the information, right? So the odds of getting caught are going to be very small, and it's going to generally they go after people they just want to go after, right? They use the law, and I learned this when I owned a phone company because they had certain laws in place. Listen to this: there is a law written that you cannot cuss on the telephone. It's against the law. It's a federal offense. Serve 5 years.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Do you think they go after everybody who cusses on the phone? Now they can hear every word we say. They always have been able to hear every word we say. If you think bots are good now at catching things, you should have seen what we were able to do. So, so if you curse on the phone or threaten somebody, I'm going to kick your butt next time I see you. That's a federal offense. You could get up to 5 to 10 years. Okay. And when do you think they use that? When they want to.
Yes, there you go.
If you use the F word, the F bomb, which people probably do every day, if you use the F word over the phone, that's a federal offense.
Well, guess
That's
what?
true.
About 10
That
years
is
ago,
a federal offense. You
That's
can go to
true.
jail. Sexting is a federal offense. Huge federal offense. Do you know the only people, unfortunately, that got busted for it were children who were sexting each other, and they got in trouble for child porn. So they got a worse crime held against them. And the way I found out about all of this is I go to a special police meeting every quarter here in North Carolina, right? Of all law enforcement gets together to talk about all the major and sexting. They would go after all of these kids. That's who they were arresting. And these kids would get nailed with child pornography because they were children sexting children. And so they would have child pornography on their record. 18-year-olds sexting 18-year-olds would get child pornography. So, yeah,
Crazy.
18-year-olds.
You know, I don't think we're over-regulated. I think we're insanely regulated.
Well, no, we're not fairly regulated.
Yes.
There's a difference. And this is something that Nick and I talked about, that there should be a fair procedural. There is a Fair Procedural and Law Act, but we don't use it. Okay. We only use it when they want to. So like that situation with Brett Favre, right? That got out of hand where he was sexting. A lot of people don't know that he could have gone to prison for that. That was a federal offense. And he probably found out about it when they arrested him, and they decided to make him an example. And all they did was just make things worse, right? But whenever they wanted to arrest somebody in a, like in crime, like that did a lot of a gangster kind of crime, they would come to the phone companies and they go, we want to want to get this person cursing on the phone.
Oh my goodness. Like getting Al Capone for tax evasion.
Right. It was the same thing. It was exactly the same thing. So you could go look, and we want to get him using the F-bomb because it was illegal to use the F-bomb. It's illegal to use it across TV networks, but people do it every day. They only use the law when they want to. They only use it when they want to.
And who's they?
The government.
There you go.
The government. So those laws, this is what I tell people. I learned through watching and being told what to do with the government and how they were using the law. I learned from pure experience. You never had privacy. So get over it. I get so angry at people. It's like, get over your privacy thing, please. Let us move forward and do some good things, but get over that. And they only use the government, the law enforcement. They only use these laws and enforce them when they want to.
You know, I've listened to very interesting Senate hearing yesterday when all this fighting and looting and all these horrible things happening on the streets of almost every American city, Senate had nothing better to do as to hold a hearing of his name
Oh yeah, yeah. The
Rosenthal?
former attorney general, assistant attorney general.
Exactly, assistant of attorney general. What they're trying to do, they're trying to overturn all the basis for Trump investigation and specifically Mueller's report and make it unlawful. So therefore, the Trump will be completely exonerated and like nothing ever happened. Then they will try to overturn impeachment because impeachment now based also on some Russian, Ukrainian, and other stuff, and so on and on. So this way they believe that they will. You see, Trump had a lot of consultations with Putin lately, and Putin advised him to if he will not sure that he will win election, just to go arrest the House of Representatives, put them all in jail, put them on trial, and this way there will be no government and you will stay. Because the only danger for Trump if there will be no election, then Pelosi, automatically Speaker of the House at the beginning of February, she will become a president of the United States. But if she is in jail, she cannot become president of the United States. So therefore, there will be no choices to continue on for 4 years with Trump. So this is now what's going on, and you have to be really aware of it.
And Putin doesn't have to do it through the justice system. He doesn't have to take him to court. He can just do that. So Trump has a little harder time doing that because he's got to press his case in court. Putin doesn't have that worry.
People don't know this. There are so many lawsuits right now out there, and there were a lot of hearings yesterday that went through and everyone's going, while we were distracted over here, guess what happened over here, right?
Yeah.
And there's the Obamagate, there's the Hillary Clinton.
No such thing. Yeah.
Right. All of these things happened yesterday. But here's what I got to ask. Why are we not being smart with our law enforcement? We know that the looters and rioters are nothing more than terrorists and criminals. But instead of putting all of our police on the street to push back against a storm of people, of protesters mixed with these bad people, and we know that these bad people are breaking into the stores and business buildings and destroying them. Why aren't we just putting officers with cameras in the stores? And they have to have a lot of cameras in case one goes down. And when people come into the store to loot and put on fire, they just shoot them. I'm sorry, but make an example of this. Don't come into the stores and blow them up and burn them down and destroy them. One Asian man lost over $350,000 of his investment of his store because the rioters came in. Now, why did that happen? He even went and stood in the store to try to stop them, but he couldn't do it anymore because they would have killed him. The rioters, those weren't protesters, those were rioters. But why are we not instead of making the officers stand out here, just put them in the stores or allow the owners to shoot, but that could get dangerous. They might end up killing people they wanted to kill anyway. But my thing is that we're shooting a lot of innocent people on the street. Why not put them in the stores? And when people violate and try to burn down the store or burn down buildings, you shoot those people. I mean, it's just
Kimberly,
I ask you something. Have you heard about the restaurant in San Diego by the name Pushkin Russia?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. That's the only place in San Diego which not only was not looted, it hasn't been even touched by anybody. Why?
I wonder why.
Because the owner of the restaurant and 5 of his employees, they were all standing outside with the huge rifles and ammunition, and so as they were saying, come on, come here, closer, so I could shoot you. Nobody touched it. Actually, people ran away from that place.
Yeah, but that's the Wild West. Why don't they spray them with blue paint?
Even better thing happened in Florida. In Florida,
I like the idea of
On Sunny Isles, there are a lot of Russians and Russian businesses. They all did the same thing. They had a heavy ammunition. They were staying there and saying, "Come on, come here, help us. We would like to deal with you." Nobody touched, no one place. There were people actually ran away from this place.
It's I think you're right. I even told protesters, instead of protesting now, join hands
Yes.
peacefully around the place. And when rioters come through, you threaten to hurt them. You threaten to give, and but join hands. We need to join hands so that they see we're not throwing rocks, we're not damaging things. We need to make a link around the buildings and protect them. And we tell these rioters they're terrorists. They're nothing but terrorists.
I was listening to a Russian talk show. Of course,
I like
you know
that
that
show.
Russians, they, all of them, starting from Putin and the poorest people there, they all want Trump to remain president for another 4 years because he's friend of Putin, he's friend of Russia, and so there is another country. It's North Korea also. They're big fans of Trump, but that's only 2 countries in the world. That's it. So Russia now has a new theory that apparently people who are paying these looters are big financial democratic institutions headed by George Soros.
Yeah.
And George Soros, he's financing very cleverly through all kind of web of companies, and they're all paid by George Soros. I have no material to refute this. There is no proof either, so you can do anything what you want with this information.
But I'll tell you what's happened in India. We have a separate place where protesters can come and peacefully protest. Do you have something in your country where protesters can come and do a peaceful protest? We have in India, because there is always a protest going around, peaceful protest always going around in India, because it's a big country with a lot of problems, and we are not as developed as US, but we have our own small problems. So there are a lot of things going on. But what happens is that people who want us to be unstable, they finance those protesters or maybe rioters to unease the atmosphere and to create the ruckus and to create those situations where we have to call police or cops, or we have to call military and things like that. It's happened, but it's a part of democracy, because if you have a democratic government, you should have a protesters as well, talking to the government and taking the right step. In India, it's happening every month, every day, every year, and sometimes when we have a protester, a big rally going on, the government have also changed. So if there's a rally going on for like in a year or so, the federal government election they lost the vote, and then the new government comes up. So that's how the power of democracy and protesters are. But we have to make sure that it should not be linked to the external situation where countries or people who want your instability, and that is the gain what they're looking for, and that hampers your culture and your atmosphere and your day-to-day normal life, because the people just looking for the loopholes, and it's not, now it's easy to buy anyone for big money basically, and if you have money you can buy anyone. That is the case, and that is how protesters become rioters, and that is how the situation is worsening. But I believe that if we have a place to protest, that would be great.
Yeah, and I think what this man did was precisely what I said should happen. Especially if you have a right to have an armed weapon in this country, nothing's stopping you. Unless it's different, the Castle Doctrine is different in every state. But the Castle Doctrine should protect people to protect their property. And these rioters and looters, they're evil people. They're not the good protesters. And what he did was precisely what I recommend. He said he's not afraid of them. He said, I have friends, we're all legally own guns, and we all got together to protect my place. Good for him. Good for him. I wouldn't mess with somebody like this, right? He's going to stand his ground, and he did so legally. And and his restaurant didn't get damaged. But I don't think this is over. I agree with you, Ankit. Why not put up a place that is like a place of worship, right?
Yeah.
Is a place where people can give their voice without it being damaged.
There's a basic thing that we agree that we disagree, and that is a good thing about economy or about the democratic environment, because there are different views, and we should be agree that we have to have disagreements on a lot of points, but that doesn't make us different from each other, and that is the power of the democratic countries basically, and that's why we should have those places where people can talk, can protest, and can lead a situation. And also in India, whenever there's a big protest, a leader comes out from the protest and joins the government.
I'm fascinated by this because I really don't believe that meeting violence with more violence is the answer. It just escalates. So creating a safe space where they can get heard. So somebody goes out to meet them and listens to them, so they feel like they've been heard. That seems to be a better solution for the long run than meeting violence with violence. I don't want more guns to fight different guns. It doesn't work.
Well, have you ever seen, it's kind of like, this is what I tell people. It's like one of the feuds up in the hills here, right? Yeah. And some of the movies you've seen or stories you've read, it ain't no exaggeration. And Eye for an Eye really goes deep around here.
I know.
There are feuds around the world. I've seen feuds, like in the Irish, right? They have been feuding forever, right? So you can never stop that. When does the peace come? I'm going to kill your sister because you killed my brother. I'm going to stop. Just
right. Some points you have to.
And
like
the
Irish go to war, they don't make peace.
Right.
So
and like Nick said, there are actually three sides to every story. In law, there are three sides. There's yours, his, and the truth. I learned this when I was going to go study law. And I thought that was beautiful. That was so beautifully.
Also, to add on this, my truth is different from your truth.
Right.
There's no problem. Yeah.
But the thing is that there are two sides, and then there's the truth. Always. Yeah. There's always the two sides, and then you sort it out, right? And sometimes when you listen to the other person, you go, I didn't realize that. It's like the time I sat down with Tom Tillis. I love to share this story. I can't stand Tom Tillis's laws. I despise everything he represents in office. Everything. All right. I do. I think everything he does is wrong for man in office. But I sat down and had breakfast with him. He's one of our senators. And I sat down and had breakfast with him with Nick. And everybody wanted me to go to state my claim on something. But I said, I'm not going there for that reason because Nick's my friend and I don't want to embarrass him. And I sat, and oddly enough, in this room, he comes and sits down next to me, and I go, God, that was a big mistake. I don't know why he sat next to me. Most men of his power sit at the head of the table, and I intentionally sat at the other end of the table, right? And instead, he comes over and he sits down next to me. So I'm sitting here, but then I got to know him as a human.
Not such a bad guy.
Yes.
We like the same songs. We sing loud in our cars. We grill out with our families. Okay.
Yeah.
His favorite food, some of my favorite foods. But what happened was he got to know me. And everybody wanted me to throw everything under the bus about my mission, right? And there was a bill getting ready to die that he was overlooking. Nobody was paying attention to because everyone was distracted with another bill called the potty bill, right? And the potty bill had nothing to do with protecting victims of offenders anywhere. Just this, it was all mixed up. And if you read the bill, there were 7 other things in there that were hurting people. Like they wanted to cap minimum wage in this bill. But the bill I wanted was purely about saving victims from violence. 100%. It wasn't even written by me. So I brought it up to him and he goes, what? And I go, yeah, it's about to go to sleep. This is the bill that's happening. This is what I do. And he became human.
Yeah.
And out of everything that was brought up in that room, I was the only one that he put an assistant to fix. And it was too late. By the time we got it, was literally too late. But he became human. So I learned a lot that day. That when we pull together as humans and we share ourselves a little bit, it's amazing that everything that I thought he stood for changed. So I just want to share that story with people because not every politician out there is as bad as the media makes them.
Yes.
But we
Okay.
spend so much time talking past each other rather than to each other.
Exactly. But that one breakfast changed my opinion of him.
Mm-hmm.
That one moment of sitting side by side and going, wow, I like this. I like this.
Kimberly, you've got experience with family court, and I see that often in the few cases that I've been involved in as an advisor. And the people are talking past, the lawyers are talking past if the two people could just be brought together in a safe environment and talk to each other, they could resolve the situation. But the lawyers are all wanting to be competitive and conflict oriented.
First off, I think the lawyers fuel the anger. Okay,
Yes,
they do.
absolutely.
I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. What people don't know is almost every state right now is 50-50, no ifs, ands, or buts. Unless you have prenups and a bunch of other things in writing, I'm just going to tell you right now, don't go to court to get something and don't let your lawyer talk you into it. What cost you $20 to get in a marriage license is going to cost you $20,000 to file for divorce. And I brought this up in court. I've shared that story. The thing is that the lawyers abuse your anger. They use it.
And also,
that is so true.
And also, once you start discussing terms, conditions, contracts, and things like that, it's a different world altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, I can talk to Jim. Just casually calling him, talking to him. But if Jim wants a contract to call to Jim, that way I will stay away.
So the media did destroy my view of Trump. It's his Twitters, right? And the way he insults women destroyed my view of Trump. If I ever stood in front of Trump and he tore me down the way he tore women down in the campaigns, because he would immediately just start insulting a woman, trying to make her feel bad. He would have ended up with a black eye with me, and I'd end up in jail, and Nick would disown me. So that's why I would never go up against him or interview him, because he would just say one rude word to me, and it would be all. I don't tolerate rudeness. I really have a low. I don't tolerate domestic violence very well either, and I know violence is not the way to end it. But my dad taught me that the only way to deal with a bully sometimes is to throw the right, and it worked. I've taken down a bully that way. And it works, and they're not bullies anymore, especially when a little old girl 5'2" takes you down. So I just, but I know violence isn't the way to approach it. I've always said my greatest weight is pen, right? My pen is my sword, and my voice is the way I draw my sword, right? My voice will be the way I handle this. I am working with some people, some very powerful voices right now. We're going to go to Washington to change some of these laws. And one of them is something Nick taught me. I know he goes, "Oh, Kim, please don't tell the world I taught you this." But I love Nick because he's got this big heart, right? At the end of the day, he hates injustice. If you would see how upset Nick gets over injustice, you would just, we need to start a nonprofit. I keep telling him, he goes, "No, I don't want to." But he gets but he'll tell me what they need to do is use this law. And boy, I'm writing this down. Like, I didn't know that law existed. But what people don't know about Nick is he's a brilliant mind. He's one of these brilliant minds. He has an unforgettable memory, probably photographic, but he's a speed reader. He researches, studies. I've seen him in action when he's really going after something, but he only truly lurches forward when there's true injustice done. That's why we're going to be in court Monday. You're not going to see Nick and I Monday. We're going to be in court after some true injustice.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm real proud to be sitting at the table with Nick. Not over the situation. I wish it was something else. I really, really do. This is what I tell people. There are times I really wish I were wrong, right? Because to know that I'm right about the situation means this person committed a really bad wrong. But we're going together, and so we will not be here Monday. It takes a lot of homework. People don't understand how much homework it takes to go into
Oh, yeah.
court.
But IBM will be live on Monday, on Economics Monday. I mean, Nick and Kim will not be there, but I will be there.
But
with all
IBM's and Kim's going to be here. We need all of you to keep the show going. We've got some great people still coming back on, as always. You guys and guests are still willing to come. Nick and I are going to be fighting, and we'll come back on as soon as we're done and share the story. And but again, there's injustice everywhere. But Nick taught me about a law called the Fairness and Procedural Law. And it's, most of the time your state agencies are all immune from the same laws we're enforced and shoved down our throats every day. We're forced to follow a law that the government doesn't have to follow. What's wrong with this picture?
Something.
So I'm using that act. There's an act that came out, and a lot of people didn't know it existed. Thanks to Nick, I did. And we're going to start putting in new policies that are called Fairness and Procedural Act.
Kimberly, can I ask a question? I was wondering if I looked on the dollar store and I couldn't find a Philly hat. I wanted to order one.
Lynn.
I wanted to order one so that when Lynn comes on, I would be able to be wearing it and get in his good graces again.
And the reason why we're here, truly the reason why we're all here, is because of the mission Nick started called Financial Literacy. And he wanted to educate people in a fun way how to protect themselves from going into financial devastation, because he's seen it too many times in his career. And he said people need to be educated, because that's the reason why we have, such a big gap between poverty and sustainability. And I go, wow, what a great mission. I want to be a part of this. And so over the course of time, one of the things I learned in this mission isn't that they're very rich and successful people. It's not about making money. It's about how you manage it. Yeah. Right? It's about your savings. And then the two of you talking today, you're investing, right? Investments. And there are risky investments and there are not risky investments. There's several tiers, but a lot of people don't know that. But every investment, no matter what, is an investment. And I hate that part in the tax filing. There's a thing that says, was it a risky investment? Well, hell yeah. Excuse me. I hate this part of the form because it's all risky.
Yeah, I invested in T-bills. It's risky.
It's all risky, right? What isn't risky is when you go out and you spend your money and the way you spend it, right? And savings, right? Is investments can be risky, but I got to go out and buy things, essentials and stuff like that. And if you could go, there are coupon cutters. I am not a coupon cutter. I'll cut them, and then by the time I go use them, they've expired. There's these 5,000 clauses of what you can't use it for in the store, right? So I am not a coupon cutter, except for Kohl's. Kohl's is the only one that doesn't have all of these disclaimers, and you can't use it here or there. Yeah, so that's the only one. I'm just going to tell the world that's the only coupons I use. But the dollar store, right? I shop the dollar store, the brick and mortar all the time. So when this pandemic happened, I'm out rushing to stock up before I lock down. And the first store I go to, of course, is the dollar store. But I tell myself, what am I going to do if this goes long, the storm lasts a long time, right? Well, Lynn Shepard's family kind of solved that problem for me. I could shop it online. But what's great about their dollar store is that it's got things like CBD that most dollar stores don't carry. Not North Carolina. We don't carry that in North Carolina. It delivers to your door. I don't have to go out and shop. I don't have to drive the gas to go out and shop. So I save in gas. I save in time, which is something I learned in my journey with Nick. Time is money.
Yeah.
If I sat down and added up my time per hour, like if I bill $500 an hour, then my hour trip to the store, and I don't care what anybody says, it's at least an hour, even if it's a 5-minute drive, it's going to be an hour, right? So $500 an hour of my time, if you add up time, and all the other elements that go into it, right? Where I could just shop online, not put my life at risk of getting COVID in a mass meeting environment, get all the items I want, including CBD, because they don't sell it here. They sell it online, and have it delivered to my door. What's not to do that? And they sell products on the online store that I can't really get in the brick and mortar. They sell beauty aid products that I buy over counter that cost me anywhere from $20 to $60, and it's $4, $2 to $4.
It's
Big
amazing.
difference. And I spend $25 worth, and shipping's free. And I was just talking about this with a friend of mine who hasn't been watching our show, and was talking about it yesterday. I know, right? That's what her best friend's for. She's been my best friend for 40 years, so I love her. But she's busy being during this time a grandma that takes care of children, because her children are frontline workers at the hospitals, and so her kids, the daycare is closed, so she became a grandma. She said, I don't have time to watch your show. But I told her about it. She goes, what? There's a dollar store online?
Right?
I go, yeah. So,
Well, make sure she gets the new name, because we found that that people can't spell my name, my last name properly. So we just changed it. And Jim, you should notice this: family.dollarstore.com. Okay.
wow.
So we got rid of Shepherd. Because some people spell it with one P, some people spell it with an HERD, it's just spelled so many different ways. So it was Ankit's recommendation and my wife's separately that we make the name shorter and easier for people. So we did change it to family.dollarstore.com. But here's the good news. We have rewards programs. Jim knows because he's purchased on and you know also, Kimberly, because you both purchased from the store, but we have a rewards program and it doesn't go away. So we have no fine print that says, well, if you do this or you do that, or you do this, you do that, you can't use it. Just by signing up to become a customer, you get immediately $5 worth of future benefit as soon as you start shopping. Now, I'm sorry that Ankit isn't around, because he's probably looking for his $5 bill so that everybody can see that you get a $5 discount. But anyway, we have fantastic buys. And my wife said to me the other day, I need to know what Kimberly uses because she has no lines in her face. And obviously that happened before we became a sponsor of Money Masters. So she wants to find out what you're using, but there is the product here on the site, and I'm going to get it for her, which at Amazon costs $67 plus shipping. And we sell it for $4.99.
Well, I'm a big fan of the collagen mask that you have.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And that costs $20 at one of my cosmetic counters. And it's the same mask, a little bit different labeling, but it's the same mask. But I'm a really big fan of these. It's time consuming, and I haven't had much time to do it, but thank you. But you exfoliate your face really well. Just take an afternoon off, right? Exfoliate your face, and while you're doing it, rest, right? But I put them in the refrigerator, and because I believe in the ice packs and coldness reduces your swelling. But I'm a big fan of this as much as the other. But try the other product, the products that reduce lines. I have a product at home I use. And then I've got one that my mom taught me to use. So, and I won't share that one because I just don't want the world to know what she taught me to use. But I did have the morgue call me and ask me because they said that she not only did not have a wrinkle in her face, but her skin was very smooth and plump, unlike anyone her age. They said that they've never seen anyone, and she never had plastic surgery. Never.
Wow. Wow.
What
So
what I will say is she deserved a lot of wrinkles with all the worries that she had with 5 kids.
Yeah.
And her husband was, my dad was very, very sick for many years, but she learned a little secret and she stood by it and her convictions. But she drank a lot. I will say that she drank a lot of water.
mhm.
She drank more water than anybody knew. But I am a big fan of this particular mask. I am. And
So I know Jim is a fan of the lidocaine CBD patches, and look at him. See, he's getting up to get it right now. And my understanding is he's going to use it on his head when he plays chess with Sasha,
That's right.
because there you go. To
Sasha
reduce
gives me a headache.
to
So I
reduce
take it preventatively. Do it before you play them.
but, one of the other things I'm honored about the dollar store is that you're not restricted to some of the products that, like in time of need products, right? So in time of need, we need more masks. And what do? You step up to the plate. You not only get us more masks, because I kind of deal with that with one of my companies. People came to me and said, can you help us do distribution with PPE equipment? Well, masks are considered one of them, and you got it at a very affordable rate. You're selling it cheaper than we are wholesale. I don't know how you're doing that, but you're selling your surgical mask or whatever they call them. You're selling these masks that they hand out to me. They hand these out to me at the physicians when I go in for my treatments, right?
right.
A little bitty thing here, but green on one side, white on the other, which we learned on our show why you have the 2 colors and how to wear them. And you sell them for less than what we're selling them wholesale.
Yep,
So-
we have them. 50 of them for $30. And they come in a nice little box. Look, there's Jim with. I'll tell you, right on top of it, Jim.
Well, I don't know how you're doing it, or how you're making it work, but you're providing a service to people like me who don't want to go out and shop.
Yeah,
I get what I want.
And Mark, one of our podcasters, who now has a radio talk show on TV, on IBM TV, he is definitely a customer now as well. And he was like me, I'll just go down to the brick, I buy my stuff at the dollar store. Well, to be able to buy it online is so much better, right?
Yep. Yeah. So Willie should know that we're working on now taking it internationally. And we've been having conversations about doing it in an online dollar store in India, and the model can work in Australia. So just a little bit of patience and we'll get it there. We can ship to Canada. I say this all the time, but as Sasha well knows, Border Patrol between here and Canada is an issue right now. Actually, even an issue before this happened, before COVID happened. But it will happen in Canada too. But Jim, you got your stuff in 3 days, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was not a long process at all. So I was very happy with that.
Yep.
And,
So
this is great.
Well, I just wanted to talk about the fact that our mission with our store is to support Money Masters and the mission that Money Masters has about financial sustainability and financial fitness. It's a wonderful program. We love it. We want to be a big support, and we're looking actually for other ways because, as Kimberly knows, I'm involved in some other businesses, and we're looking for some other ways to support Money Masters as well. So and that's the great thing, Lynn, that I've learned through you as well is that as entrepreneurs we're doing many different things, right? We don't
usually work on one project. And I see that with Willie and Sasha and Jim and Nick. We do a lot of different things, right? And but the key thing is that we work together and we support each other, and that's how we continue to grow. I see this in Henning with his projects. He, reaches out to a lot of people and does daily meetings and connects a lot of the dots. So that's all we have to do. And we appreciate your heart in wanting to give 50% of what you make to our mission to help close that gap between poverty and sustainability. And
Happy to do it.
And the thing
Good
is
for you.
that literacy is the only way, but everybody says literacy is boring. So Jim kind of learned this from us. So we kind of shifted it and we call it fitness, right? Financial fitness. And so we're not doing, but I believe that if you learn good fitness disciplines, just like you do for your health, you're going to develop it for your wealth, right? And it's I'm not going to say it's simple steps. It's discipline and it's practice. And once you learn these tools, it becomes something that you use your whole life. And that's what we want to teach